Alright, so I'm 4 weeks out from my first ultramarathon this summer in San Francisco, and unfortunately I need to face the reality that I may be leading myself into a potential injury. Over the past several weeks, since my 124-mile week, I've been experiencing some sharp pain on the right-hand side of my right foot. Now, because I overpronate, this is where I'm typically landing. This makes sense that probably the 124 miles was a little overdoing it, and so because the pain is persistent and because I am continuing at like a 45 to 50 mile a week base, I'm going to be dropping my mileage all the way down to a 35 to 40 miles a week because I still feel confident that I can run without potentially providing additional strain on this foot, but I do want to taper back. So I have two main concerns with this potential issue. One is that if I continue to run the mileage that I'm running, I'm going to provide more additional strain on my foot, and come race day, I am not going to be in a really good place to be able to run 52.4 miles. And then number two, I do have a bit of like thicker calluses on my feet, and you can tell based on how they've developed over time that I am at risk of my feet tearing depending on the amount of pressure and how long I'm out there. And so I want to make sure that that is not something that actually happens during race day, because I can't imagine my feet tearing halfway through a 52.4 mile race. And so in this video, I'm going to go over 3 things that I'm going to be doing to adjust my training right away. Let's get into it. Alright, so first we're going to talk about strength. Now, I'm going to be going to the gym anywhere from 2 to 4 times a week, and I'm going to ensure that I am focusing on low weight and mostly my upper half. I don't want to provide any more strain on my foot itself. And so core exercises are going to be really great to ensure that I'm building stability in my upper body, helping improve my overall breathing mechanics, and it also will help reduce back pain as I experience that from time to time when running, especially from my hip flexors all the way to my lower back. Next, I'll focus on light dumbbell work and cable machines and bench pressing. All 3 of these weight training exercises will continue to build muscle where I typically do not give a lot of attention to when I'm running. As long as I focus on my technique, keep the weight relatively light, I should be in a good spot to maintain muscle while not providing additional strain on my foot itself. Alright, so next up we're going to talk about aerobic base. You see, my aerobic base, I have been developing this over the past 6 months, and I've gone down from a 9-minute pace all the way down to a 7-minute pace on my speed work. And so in this race, I want to ensure that I can do my best to be able to finish this race with a sub 8 minute in mind. Now, I've run over 1,100 miles this year alone, and so I want to ensure that I can at least maintain my aerobic pace or continue to improve it over the next 2 to 3 weeks before I actually taper. And so one thing I'm going to be doing right away is swimming. You see, I'm lucky enough to have a swimming pool in my complex, and I can easily do swimming from 20 to 30 minutes before or after work. And swimming is a great form of exercise to increase your heart rate, build endurance, and strengthen your muscles. And so swimming, I believe, is not going to provide any additional strain on my foot. I'm going to be able to increase my heart rate during these sessions and be able to maintain the aerobic base that I've done so hard to build. Alright, so before we get into the third thing I'll be focusing on to help relieve this strain in my foot, would love for you to subscribe to the channel if you find this content helpful. I'll be putting out content once a week, and would love to build this channel all the way to 1,000 by end of this year, so would love the support. Alright, so the third thing that I'll be focusing on is my recovery, specifically in my feet. Now, I always talk about mobility and yoga and stretching, how important that is, and I'm going to continue to do that, but I feel like I've exhausted the pressure of telling everyone that you need to focus on this. But specifically for my feet, there's different things that I have done in the past, and I'm going to actually double down on over the next few weeks to really provide some relief to that strain itself. One thing will be using a frozen lacrosse ball that I have in my freezer. I could go ahead and take that out right in the morning, and I can go ahead and roll that on the arch of my foot. And this is a really great way to focus cold therapy and pressure on a specific area that needs it the most. Now, the other thing that I'll be doing is using my Therabody products, such as like my massage gun and my recovery boots, and this really helps reduce inflammation and enhances my training readiness via the Garmin app. Another product I'll be using is called the Calf Pro. This was designed by a physical therapist, and I've had it for a few months now. I really enjoy it because it really helps with my range of motion with my ankles, as well as stretching out my hamstrings, and all of these muscles and tendons are connected to really where I'm experiencing the strain in my arch of my foot. And so focusing on these areas over time will really help recover that strain a lot quicker. Now, I do want to say out loud, not every injury is going to be created equal. And so if you are in doubt that you potentially could injure yourself more, or if the pain persists, you definitely want to go ahead and seek medical advice.